The front door was locked. My key didn't fit. I stood there, duffel bag slung over my shoulder. The weight of 2 years in Afghanistan still clinging to my bones. The air smelled wrong, too clean. Like bleach and lavender air freshener. Not the dusty cedar of my old porch. A kid's tricycle lay tipped over in the yard. Red plastic glinting under the Georgia sun. My house. My damn house. And someone else was living in it. I've been gone 24 months. Dodging IEDs and leading my platoon through hell. Only to come home to a stranger's life sprawled across my property. The HOA, those clipboard-wielding vultures, had rented it out. Without my consent. Without a single letter, email, or call. My blood boiled. The kind of heat that makes your vision blur. I dropped my bag. The thud echoing off the quiet cul-de-sac. A neighbor's curtain twitched. They were watching. Always watching. I banged on the door. Hard enough to rattle the frame. No answer. I tried again. Knuckles stinging. Hey, open up. My voice cracked. Raw from disuse. A woman's face appeared in the window, mid-40s. Blonde bob. Eyes narrowed like I was the intruder. She cracked the door an inch. Can I help you? She said. Her tone sharp. Like she was scolding a delivery guy. This is my house, I said. Voice low. Trying to keep the rage from spilling over. Sergeant Caleb Monroe. I own this place. Who the hell are you? Her lips pursed, and she stepped onto the porch. Arms crossed. I'm Karen Whitlock, HOA president. We're renting this property. You abandoned it. No contact for years. We assumed you were gone. Her eyes flicked to my uniform, then back to my face, like she was sizing up a stray dog. Abandoned. I laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. I was deployed. Serving my country. You think I'd just walk away from my home? My fists clenched. The scars on my knuckles pulling tight. I could hear my platoon's voices in my head. Ramirez laugh. Jenkins' quiet prayers. They'd have my back. Always did. Karen didn't flinch. The HOA has rules. Sergeant. You didn't pay dues. You didn't respond to notices. We took legal action. She pulled out her phone, scrolling like she was about to read me the fine print. The tenants have a lease. You can't just... Legal action. I cut her off, stepping closer. She smelled like expensive perfume. The kind that stings your nose. You forged my signature. Didn't you? Rented my house for profit while I was getting shot at. My voice shook. Not from fear, but from the betrayal slicing through me. This wasn't just a house. It was my dad's place. The one he left me when cancer took him. The creaky porch swing where we'd talk about baseball. The kitchen where he taught me to fry catfish. My roots. My refuge. Karen's eyes darted to the side. And for a split second, I saw it guilt. She covered it fast. You'll need to speak to our lawyer, she said, turning back to the door. This is private property now. I grabbed the frame before she could shut me out. Private. This is my home. The shout tore out of me, echoing down the street. A dog barked in the distance. My chest heaved, and I felt the old panic creeping in the kind that hits when you hear a mortar whistle. I forced it down. Not here. Not now. That's when I heard the rumble. Tires on asphalt. A black pickup rolled up. Dust swirling in its wake. Ramirez climbed out. His grin wide but his eyes hard. Behind him, Jenkins and Torres. My brothers from the 101st Airborne. They'd come straight from Fort Campbell when I texted them last night. After the VA clerk told me about the HOA scam. Sarge. Ramirez called, tossing me a salute. Heard you got a situation. Karen froze, her phone slipping slightly in her hand. Who are these people? She demanded, but her voice wavered. 3 soldiers in civvies, all muscle and menace, leaned against the truck. Jenkins cracked his knuckles. Torres just stared, his gaze cold enough to freeze whiskey. My platoon, I said. stepping back to let them flank me. We're here to take my house back. Legally. I checked with a JAG officer. Your lease is void. Forgery's a felony. Karen. Her face paled, but she doubled down. You can't intimidate me. I'll call the police. She fumbled with her phone. But Ramirez was faster. He didn't touch her, just loomed, all 6'2" of him, and said, Go ahead. Call. We'll wait. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of a man who'd defused bombs under fire. The air grew thick, heavy with the scent of cut grass and tension. A screen door creaked nearby. Mrs. Delaney, my old neighbor, stepped onto her porch, her gray hair catching the light. She'd known me since I was 10. Used to bake me cookies when Dad worked late. Caleb, she called, her voice trembling. Is that you? I turned, my throat tightening. Yeah, Mrs. D. It's me. She shuffled closer, her cane tapping the ground. Her eyes locked on Karen. And I saw something I hadn't expected. Fire. You should be ashamed. She spat at Karen. Renting out his house while he was fighting for us. I saw your husband sneaking around here, signing papers. I kept quiet, but no more. Karen's jaw dropped. That's slander. She snapped, but her voice cracked, and I caught its flicker of fear. Mrs. Delaney wasn't just a witness. She was a grenade, and she just pulled the pin. Mrs. D. I said softly. You saw them forge my name. She nodded, her hands shaking but her gaze steady. I've got photos, dates, even recorded one of their meetings when they bragged about the money. My heart pounded. Evidence. Real evidence. Karen's face crumpled. Just for a second. Before she rallied. This is ridiculous. You're all trespassing. She stabbed at her phone. But Torres stepped forward. His voice low. Ma'am, you might want to think twice. We've got a lawyer on speed dial. And a news crew on standby. He was bluffing about the crew. But Karen didn't know that. Her hand froze. The standoff stretched. The only sound the hum of cicadas and my own uneven breaths. I could feel the sweat on my palms. The ache in my shoulders from carrying too much for too long. I'd fought for my country. I'd buried friends. And now I was fighting for my home. Against a woman who thought rules and power gave her the right to steal it. Karen, I said, my voice steady now. You've got two choices. Walk away. Let the tenants know the lease is void. And face the consequences with your lawyer. Or we do this the hard way. Cops, courts, and every neighbor in this cul-de-sac hearing how you profited off a soldier's absence. I leaned in, close enough to see the mascara smudging under her eyes. Your call. Her lips trembled, but she held my gaze, defiant. Then Ramirez coughed, a deliberate sound, and pointed to the street. A sheriff's cruiser was pulling up. Lights off but presence loud. Mrs. Delaney must have called them. Karen's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of her like air from a punctured tire. The deputy stepped out. A guy I recognized from high school. Tommy Grayson. He tipped his hat to me. Caleb, heard you were back. His eyes slid to Karen. Hardening. Got a call about a disturbance. And some paperwork issues. Karen stammered. But Tommy raised a hand. Ma'am, I've seen the deed. Caleb's name's on it. You want to explain why you're renting out his property? She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned and fled into the house, slamming the door. The lock clicked. A pathetic final stand. Tommy sighed. We'll handle it from here. Caleb. Got a warrant coming for the HOA's records. Forgery's no small thing. He clapped my shoulder, his grip firm. Welcome home, man. I exhaled, the weight lifting but not gone. Ramirez slapped my back, grinning. Told you, Sarge. We don't leave our own behind. Jenkins and Torres nodded, their silence louder than words. Mrs. Delaney hobbled over, pressing a warm cookie into my hand. It smelled like childhood, like hope. The tenants moved out that week, confused but compliant once the sheriff showed them the voided lease. Karen and her husband faced charges forgery, fraud, the works. The HOA board dissolved under the scandal. Neighbors turning on them like wolves smelling blood. I got my house back. Every creaky floorboard and faded wall. But it wasn't just about the house. That night, I sat on the porch swing, the wood groaning under my weight. The air was thick with jasmine, the stars sharp against the Georgia sky. I thought of my platoon, of Mrs. Delaney's courage, of the fight we'd won without firing a shot. Justice isn't always a courtroom or a gavel. Sometimes it's the people who stand with you, the ones who refuse to let you fall. I took a deep breath, let it out slow, and felt something I hadn't in years. Peace.